Capital News tonight. Kwele birds invade and destroy over 800 hectares of rice farms in Kilosa district. President Samia Suluhu Hassan meets with Chinese business chamber in Tanzania. And in sports, Vodacom Premier League defending champions Simba Sports Club defeat Kagera Sugar 2-0 at Kaitaba Stadium. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's start things off with the national news. Kwele birds have invaded and destroyed over 8,000 hectares of rice farms in 5 wards, which include Mbigiri, Msowero, Dumila, Mvumi and Rudewa in Kilosa district, Morogoro region. Efforts made by farmers to stop the birds have not been successful.
The birds are many. If they will land in one farm for only 30 minutes, farmers will be left with nothing. We are calling on the government to do something in order to rescue the situation. The birds are small, weighing between 5 to 7 grams. Their consumption capacity depends on their weight. If they weigh 5 grams, then they can eat 5 grams of rice in a day. They fly in large groups. They can reach up to 200,000 birds to 2 million birds in one group at a go. If 2 million birds will all eat in one day, then we expect huge losses.
And the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, today met and held talks with the Chinese Business Chamber in Tanzania on various issues regarding business and investment in the country.
Big expectation from Her Excellency and from government of Tanzania that Tanzania will be now going to a fast track of economic development. And from our Chinese community, we know that all the people are reacting very positively, that the country now is going right direction towards economic development. This is what we are excited and we are hoping for. Yeah, okay. We are expecting that the areas which making hurdles to the business community or business development should be adjusted and should be say fast track.
And as the Ministry of State and the President's Office for Regional Administration and Local Government winds up its 2021-2022 budget, several members of Parliament have emphasized the budget should resolve chronic challenges faced by the public, including lack of medical equipment in health centers, shortage of nurses, and constant contributions in schools.
Kyerwa ina zahanati 3, kata 24 zina zahanati 3.
Kyerwa has 3 dispensaries, 24 wards have 3 dispensaries. That is deficiency of almost 80%. This means that Kyerwa district lacks health services by 80%.
Ukija upande wa uguzi, bado kuna changamoto.
If you look at the nurses, there are many challenges apart from what is written in the manifesto. Let us try at least to succeed in a few, which are very crucial. We are aware that people have initiated themselves in constructing dispensaries, but they need support from the government. I know that TAMISEMI's budget is minimal, but let's put our priorities clear.
Ongoing rains in Kilimanjaro region have caused destruction on the 4-kilometer Mandaka-Mnono road in Moshi district, which has become impassable after River Rao flooded.
Barabara hii imekuwa ni kero kubwa.
This road has
Not make any commercial contact or connect one village to the other. It's a 9.4 kilometer from Salanga to Mawugini. It is very difficult to provide services or even transfer products. We thank ITV for always coming and sending our complaints. This road has been a recurring nuisance.
Tuna barabara ya kwenda Mandaka Mnono. Imeathirika sana kwa kiasi kikubwa.
Roads have been badly damaged due to several reasons, including.
And the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, is expected to address Parliament on April 22nd, that is tomorrow evening, whereby members of Parliament have said that her address will provide the government's direction and focus for the next 4 years.
All week. Happy because she will bring proper direction of her 4 years in office. Not only MPs who are anxious, but even the rest of Tanzanians.
Wabunge peke yake ni Watanzania wote kwa ujumla. Kwa hiyo mimi naamini kwamba ujio kesho wa Mheshimiwa Rais atakuja kutuambia kwamba yeye kama.
I believe the President's visit at the Parliament will address to us on which direction she wants to take the country to. I also expect that there will be some issues that she will need members of Parliament to help in building the nation.
Yako mambo ambayo ni lazima mbunge awepo yeye mwenyewe, na tuna take record, na record hizi huwezi kujua kesho wala kishukutwa. Si vizuri kutokuwepo katika landmark speech ya rais wa awamu ya 6 anapokuja kuhutubia bunge hili.
Merkel International Cellular Company has signed a sale agreement of all its businesses in Tanzania, which include Tigo and Zantel, to Axian Group company from Antananarivo in Madagascar, with the Chief Executive Officer of Tigo, Simon Karikari, assuring that all services will be provided as usual.
Customers that there will be no changes to how we run our business. Your money and your mobile money is safe. It is not included in this transaction at all. And customers should feel free to continue to enjoy the good services that Tigo has been provided for customers all over the years.
And the Minister of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Ambassador Liberata Mulamula, has met and held talks in Pretoria with the South African Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations, Grace Naledi Pandor, to discuss development of cooperation between Tanzania and South Africa. And that's all for the national news. International news is next. And in international news, with the vaccination rollout underway in Kenya, the government has said that as from next year, every citizen planning to travel out of the country will be required to have a COVID-19 vaccination certificate. The developments come as reports say Kenya has vaccinated 750,000 people against COVID-19. Activists and politicians in Uganda have called on the government to make sure those who will be affected by construction of the crude oil pipeline project from Uganda to Tanzania are paid compensation before construction work begins.
Life become harder, they stopped me using my land.
The Constitution states that anyone whose land is to be used, then compensation must be paid.
And back to Kenya, with the vaccination rollout underway in Kenya, the government has said that from next year, every citizen that plans to travel out of the country will be required to have a COVID-19 vaccination certificate.
So we are expecting to get...
We are expecting to receive from Pfizer 1 million doses of Corona once we have concluded our deal, but also another 1 million doses from Johnson & Johnson and the one that we will receive from AstraZeneca. We will continue with the vaccination process. We ask Kenyans to continue with the vaccination and that this is not a Kenyan problem, but a global one.
The election campaign to replace Angela Merkel as the leader of Germany kicked into high gear this week, with the major parties now set with their chancellor candidates. It has been a bumpy ride so far for Merkel's Conservative Party, and it might not get any easier for them. Let's get more now on what could be a historic election for Germany with William Glucroft, political correspondent with our partner Deutsche Welle in Berlin. So, William, what happened this week that marks it as the unofficial start of the election campaign?
Yes, that's right. You could call this week an unofficial start to the campaign election season here in Germany, the election being in September, because this week the two leading parties in the polls, the CDU, that's Angela Merkel's Conservatives, and the Green Party, a more progressive party, both settled on who their chancellor candidate is going to be, who's going to lead their party into elections in September, and theoretically, if their parties win, become the chancellor. Now, the Greens picked Annalena Baerbock. She's a fairly young woman, 40 years old, with experience as a member of the German parliament, the Bundestag, whereas the Conservatives, Angela Merkel's party, picked an older white man, Armin Laschet, the leader of his state in Western Germany, the most populous state in Germany. And the two really reflect very different Germanys. Armin Laschet, a rather traditional center-right politician, been around for a long time. Annalena Baerbock, something of a new, fresh face in Germany that represents change, represents a lot of new policies that, if her Green Party were to win, could be quite effective in changing Germany rather dramatically. Now, it's important to note that Germany is a parliamentary system. The individual candidates don't really officially matter, but of course they have great symbolic weight as to the type of people that the parties put forward as their faces for this campaign.
Speaking of that, so what do the parties' candidate selections tell us about where the parties themselves stand in the race?
Well, it really couldn't be any more different. The union, as it's called, the CDU-CSU, that's Angela Merkel's Conservative Party, with their sister, their smaller sister party from the state of Bavaria, they have to agree on a common candidate to run nationwide. And although they are a huge party and an established party, a professional party, they've been nothing but unprofessional in the last few weeks. A lot of squabbles, a lot of internal division. The union is nothing but disunited right now. And a lot of that happened in the public space. We all saw it happen. Whereas the Greens, which has long been a small protest party, they've been quite professional, putting on a united front, a common face to show the public in their decision about backing their chancellor candidate, Annalena Baerbock, whereas there was a lot of fighting going on in the CDU. And that's really reflective of politics in general in Germany right now, where Angela Merkel's Conservatives are very divided, especially when it comes on the direction the country needs to take with the pandemic. And that is reflected in the polls, where there's been a massive surge in support for the Greens, and the CDU, the Conservatives, have been slipping.
In what way does this election stand to change Germany?
Well, if the Greens really were to win this election in September, it would be the first time in post-war history that Germany is not led by one of the major parties, the center-right or the center-left. And since they are so pro-environmentalist for the largest economy in Europe, it would mark a huge change in policy for where Germany goes and where Europe goes in a post-Merkel era.
Thank you, William. And that special report ends our international news. We'll be back with business news after this break.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Welcome back, and now in business news. The Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, has said the government will continue to empower financially Tanzania Agriculture Development Bank so that it can have sufficient funds to provide loans to farmers and enable them to grow their production activities.
Serikali utasikiliza mara kwa mara waziri wa kilimo amelisemea.
You have asked about the government strategy. More often, the Minister of Agriculture has been saying we need to change a whole sector from not being sure to being certain on issues, just like how the President directed.
The Russian ambassador in Tanzania, Yuri Popov, has said his country has not stopped flights bringing tourists to Tanzania and that flights will resume in June this year after they were affected by the global COVID-19 situation.
Term of such restrictions after the situation normalizes, it's implied that the restrictions will stay in force from April 15 to the 1st of June. So I can't, of course, guarantee it, but my hope is that this restriction will end.
And the Minister of State in the Prime Minister's Office for Investment, Geoffrey Mwambe, has said in order to improve the business environment of the country and attract investors, changes need to be made at the National Business Council, as well as increased cooperation with the private sector.
We need to have a broader understanding on private sector so that it can be strong and not just for few people. We want a strong private sector that includes all people.
Uwekezaji au biashara ndio chanzo cha maendeleo.
Investment is the source of development, but also tax and employment. I urge business people to make Tanzania a harbor for business and investment.
That's where we leave off with business news. Sports is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment and going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's going to be dragged through to second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Joaquinho, he did lose to Lendl.
And now in sports. The Vodacom Premier League defending champions Simba Sports Club have continued their chase for the title with a 2-0 win against Kagera Sugar at the Kaitaba Stadium in Kagera. The Msimbazi team had their goals through March Player of the Month, Luis Mikwisone and Chris Mugalu.
Tumepata matokeo ambayo tuliyatarajia. Mechi ilikuwa na changamoto zake. Kipindi cha kwanza tulicheza vizuri, kipindi cha pili kidogo ilikuwa 50-50, lakini mwisho wa siku tunamshukuru Mwenyezi Mungu, la muhimu ilikuwa point tatu.
And Yanga Sports Club assistant captain Haruna Niyonzima has spoken on why they are under immense pressure compared to the previous mainland Premier League seasons. Here's more.
Although they have not had a far better second round in the league, Team Wananchi are leading as they chase the title that has been elusive in the last 3 seasons. Niyonzima says Yanga are under pressure this season because since he came to Tanzania, the Jangwani Giants have never gone 3 seasons without a League Cup, as it is the situation right now.
And UEFA has given the green light for a 36-team Champions League reform, which will include a single league format to replace the group stage.
European football's main governing body announced a number of changes to the competition amid reports of a rival Super League formation which could see 12 of their biggest clubs on the continent break away. The changes are slated to come into effect in 2024, with fixtures set to be played on Thursdays instead of Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and a playoff round added to the first stage. UEFA President Alexander Seferin has outlined the main reasons behind the reform in an official statement which reads, "This new format supports the status and future of the domestic game throughout Europe as well. It retains the principle that domestic performance should be the key to qualification and reconfirms the principles of solidarity right through the game and of open competition." The traditional group stage concept, which has seen 4 teams compete in 8 pools with the top 2 qualifying for the last 16, will be scrapped in favor of a single league including 36 teams.
And Eric Bailey is back in Manchester United training after recovering from coronavirus. Here's more.
Manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had revealed that the centre-back, who was an unused substitute in Cote d'Ivoire last Africa Cup of Nations qualifying match against Ethiopia, was yet to return to England and will be unavailable for selection. Unfortunately, he won't be with us for a little while, Solskjaer was quoted by the club website, adding that this is because he's been out with the national Ivory Coast team and got COVID, so he's not back in England yet. As a result of that, the 27-year-old has missed the Red Devils' last 5 fixtures against Brighton and Hove Albion, Granada, Tottenham Hotspur, Granada at home, and Burnley.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. My name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Watch Business Edition as we talk to business leaders and experts in sectors that are transforming Tanzania's economy.
We believe that the driver is the customer.
To change the mindset of traditional HR to the digitalization.
Make sure that everybody can get some access to financial services.
And once we understand the vision of our leaders, we then need to be behind them and help them in achieving that vision.
Business have involved mercantile operations, trade guilds, or shared agricultural production, infrastructure, construction, financial sectors, tourism, and mining. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m.
Nukuu ya Rais Mheshimiwa Samia Suluhu Hassan.
Miradi yetu inakuwa ya gharama kubwa sana kutokana na jambo moja tu, ucheleweshaji wa malipo. Nashangaa ucheleweshaji unatokea wapi? Mimi nadhani kule kuchelewesha malipo ni mradi wa watu, ili riba inapopatikana basi maneno yanafanywa hapo juu, kwa sababu anayewekeza mkandarasi hana haja na riba yako. Anataka atekeleze, analeta certificate, unamlipa, mnaendelea. Wewe unapochelewesha, kwa sababu kama unajua kuna mradi unatekelezwa na kipindi hiki anatakiwa mkandarasi alete certificate, bila shaka kuna fungu umeshalitenga. Sasa unapochelewesha kwa makusudi ili tu malipo yale yatengeneze riba kwa serikali, sikuelewi.
Nukuu ya Rais Mheshimiwa Samia Suluhu Hassan.